Well, as you know, this is the home of the cold truth and the hot take. And earlier today, my esteemed colleague, Captain Paul, released a video that had a lot of cold truths, but was a little bit too spicy with the hot takes for YouTube.
Well, and just to start off this video, we don't plug it enough, so I'll plug it now. Consider subscribing to the Patreon, because if you want the unfiltered, uncensored truth from TSP, that is where you're going to get it. On YouTube, we are beholden to certain rules I don't necessarily agree with. So make sure to check out the $5 and up tier, and you will be getting a ton of content. What the video was about was Petrillo, a transgender woman, competing in a women's division in the 200 meter from ages 50 to 54, and ended up looking pretty good. Let's go right into the film.
Petrillo sul finale.
Petrillo's looking pretty dominant. When I look, I was like, yo, put some shoulder pads on, a helmet, put the football in there, right up the A gap.
Right up the A gap. I mean, and I understand I have to be very careful, I guess, with what I say due to the platform we're currently on. But I don't think it's a wild thing to say. Like, just the physical differences are just very apparent in that video. And I felt maybe it's better off because we can kind of have a discussion with this. I think it's just completely unfair for women, biological women, to kind of go against somebody that has such a physical advantage over them. And you've seen now more women than ever come out against competing against transgender women just because of the physical differences. I mean, what is your take on it?
Well, I have a little bit more of a devil's advocate take, because to be quite frank about it, I've kind of grown tired of this discussion. And so, in my view, I think that we could do a lot to solve this problem organically if we just made every sport an open division. No more, men against men, women against women. Just let everybody compete against each other. I mean, because we all are equal. I think we're all are equal. I think everybody would say that men and women are equal. Would you say that that's a lot of the rhetoric that we hear, Cap?
Yeah, I mean, the rhetoric, but...
So I think that the rhetoric only means something if we live by it. And if men and women are equal, and trans women are women, and trans men are men, just have everybody compete on the same playing field. That means in basketball, no more WNBA. It's just the NBA. And if you're a woman player that's better than the men's player, you get the roster spot. You get the draft positioning, and the male player won't get it. In football, just, in soccer, hockey, there's just one league. And if you want to participate, you just have to be better, because we're all equal.
I mean, I get what you're coming from that aspect. I get it. Getting rid of all divisions would probably just kind of end all these arguments altogether. But let's be very frank. We do that. It's just the men's league. Whether people want to acknowledge it or not, men have a physical advantage over women, especially in most of these sports. So,
but I keep hearing about how equal we are. And in fact, I heard a phrase that goes along the lines of, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
Yeah. I mean, but I still feel like we can have rhymes, have fun times, but we live in reality here. And if you did get rid of all gender division, it would just be men's sports. That is why Title IX was created, was to give women the opportunity to get scholarships, to have a higher end level of sports that they can participate in. And right now, unfortunately, in NASCAR, we saw what happened with Danica Patrick, but
she was very popular and she performed pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, she did pretty decent, but I'm saying in sports, this is probably gonna be a hot take to some racers, but to me, there's no necessarily massive physical difference needed in racing compared to basketball. Like, if a WNBA All-Star team played an NBA bottom 32 team, right, the worst team in the league, they would get smoked. And there's
I mean, that's
No
not what I'm
ifs, ands, or
hearing, though.
buts.
That's
Right.
not what I'm hearing,
But
Cap.
I'm
I'm
dealing.
hearing
I'm
that
dealing.
it's
I'm dealing with
equality
I'm
and
dealing
that
with the
we're
reality.
all. Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of equality. I'm hearing that they can do everything that we can do. That they're that sometimes that they're superior to us. So I just think that we should just get rid of all the divisions, and then these transgender women can still live in their truth and they can still compete, and they can see if if them as their true selves, if they are if they're
Good
better
man.
competitors that way.
I get the heart and the spirit of your argument. I just deal. If we're gonna do that, there's just no women's sports. That's just what happens. There's no women's sports. There's gonna be no women athletes.
Maybe you're just
Because
a bigot, Cap. Maybe you're just a bigot and you just don't believe in the women. I think that you should believe in the women. I believe that you should believe all
as
women as
someone,
well.
I guess for me, where this is bothersome, and I feel we've gotten to a point, unfortunately, of no return for some people, is someone that has coached, girls at the high school level, middle school level for hockey and stuff of that ilk, comparing them to the boys. I mean, we literally, the Olympic USA hockey team faces 16 to 18-year-olds to get ready for their Olympic competition, right? There's just a distinct physical advantage. And this isn't to knock the women athletes. Like, the best women athlete in tennis history, in my opinion, like Serena Williams, right? She is on record saying if she was to face the worst ranked men's player,
she would get washed in 10 minutes.
She would get washed.
She said 6-0, 6-0 in 10 minutes. That's what she said.
And this isn't me belittling their athletic ability, because it's just a genetic physical difference. I think I can appreciate the athleticism that they have and the level of competition they're facing and how good they are against that competition, right? I'm not knocking the effort and the dedication they put into the craft, because a lot of women, they dedicate decades to these sports. And this is for me, as someone that has actually coached young girls, coached young men, right? While there might be a physical difference, while there is a physical difference, it's like, it doesn't mean that there isn't talent there that shouldn't be appreciated. And by allowing transgender women into these spaces, you are negating decades of hard work for these young women. And I mean, even with the 50 to 54, and trying to be as respectful as possible, I mean, you can see the physical difference just with the strides itself.
Well, some people say, Cap, that there's a physical difference between an NBA player who's 5'9" and a NBA player who's 6'9". I mean, there's a clear physical difference there too. And do you know why I'm going this way with this argument, Cap? Put up the picture right here of the women on the podium. Now, if you look there, you will see. I mean, look at what you're looking at. You're seeing the person at the top of the podium and the two women on either side in second and third place. They don't look to be too hostile. They seem to think that they're on an even playing field. So why should I argue with it? Why should I waste my energy advocating for the sanctity of their sport when they're fine with the status quo as it is?
I mean, but that's not necessarily the case. You have a lot of women coming out complaining. Even in that same race, you had women complaining after the fact that they felt it was an unfair advantage. They never spoke negatively about Petrillo, the individual, right? But they said it was a distinct physical advantage that that person had over the rest of the competition. But let's be very fair. Women by nature are not confrontational, right? And I could understand your aspect in this saying, well, if they're not going to fight for it, why do I care? But by nature, women aren't going to be very confrontational. They're just not.
I don't know. That sounds like a hot take, Cap. Sounds like you're not honoring the equality of the women.
I mean, hey, maybe I'm not. Maybe as a married man myself, and growing up with sisters and knowing how they work and just women, maybe I'm just too informed. Maybe I'm just not blind to the obvious truth in front of me. But that is an awkward position for anyone to be put in, and to expect these women to be very vocal about a protected group. Let's just be very clear here. They would be getting roasted online, harassed, and doxxed. Because that is what has happened to some people that have spoken up against some of this stuff. They've gotten their personal information leaked or doxxed.
So you're talking about they're going to get this backlash.
Correct.
Is it mostly men that are giving them this backlash about how they want their sport to only have biological women in it?
Oh, it's mostly women.
Again, I come back to the same point from before. If they feel like their sport is clean and even and fair with transgender women in it, why should I burn my energy to fight for their sport when they're fine with it the way it is?
I mean, I don't think they think it's fine. That's what I would argue. I think just by nature, they're not going to be getting like crazy, and we have seen more women be more vocal. I mean, in that Leah Thomas case, right? Obviously, none of her teammates could come out publicly, but a lot came out anonymously saying, this is some bullshit, and this is unfair, right? I mean, me and you by nature, I don't care if I'm going to confront somebody face to face and tell them they're, out of their gourd, right? You aren't either. But with a woman, it's going to be a far different situation. Just from my own experiences and dealing with my wife, and as you dealing with your wives, right? I mean, I think we can both acknowledge here, men and women handle things differently. And that's not to knock women saying, oh, they can't handle their stuff. They just handle it in a different way, right? Just like sometimes men, we can get a little bit to the other way as well. Right?
It's a cold truth to me, but it's a hot take to many others. So down in the comments section, we want to know what you believe. We want to know if you think that the divisions should stay as is. If they are, would you add a transgender division? Would you make an all open division for a couple of years and see how athletics go, like I would? Or whatever kind of solution that you have, put it down in the comment section below. And if you want to see Cap's spicy video, definitely come check us out on the Patreon shown below in the description box. At the $5 shitter level, you will get access to that video. At the $10 dog water level, you will get that video. Until next time.